Let it be.
Let it be. Let it be. Let it be. Some
Words of wisdom.
Let it be.
Just when we talk to ourselves, we do it.
See,
I don't know why that
weird
occurred to me.
stuff.
Listen, that little swig in here, this apple cider vinegar. I think the apple cider vinegar like opens the bouquet of something. Something.
There's joy in that cup.
I mean,
I'm gonna go ahead and get started because you ain't gonna.
What are we doing?
This.
And just do it as is. Are we adding?
Yeah, we're here.
We're here with
We've
it.
arrived.
Yeah, we've arrived. If it's shorter, it's shorter.
You don't care.
If it's short, it's short. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Just relax and let it flow. Don't rock the boat.
Don't rock that boat, baby. You know, it's the other one. So I'd like to know where you got the notion. That I'd like to know where you got the notion. No, I'd like to know where you got the notion. To rock the boat, don't rock the boat, baby. Rock the boat, don't tip the boat over. Rock the boat,
Don't rock the boat, baby. Rock the boat.
oh. Now we're just showing off how giggly we can be. Are you ready?
See, and then we start the episodes, and they'd be like, "Why is she always crying? Why does she always look so wet around the eyes? She got a drug problem."
Said I'd like to know. You got the notion.
That lyric is so sassy. I'd like to know where you got the notion. I'd like to know where you even got the notion to rock that boat. Tell me where the hell you even came off. Who told you to disturb?
Wasn't a ripple?
What? I'd like to know where
There wasn't no wave.
I'm using that. I'd like to know where you got the notion to come up in my class. The next time, that's how somebody does something that's just like, I know your audacity is at all times. I'd like to know. I said I'd like to know. Said I'd like to know where.
Said I'd like to know where you got the notion.
To rock this boat. Anybody starting conflict with you. Anybody starting conflict with you, you say it to them. I'm sorry. I'd like to know where you got the notion to rock this boat. We out here enjoying.
And then you remix
dinner.
it. I don't rock this boat, baby. See?
We out here having a good time.
Yeah.
And then something occurred to you. Let's add conflict to the situation. Well, I'd like to know where you got the notion to rock that boat. That's deep.
She was saucy with it.
I'd like to know.
Said
where.
I'd like to know.
Uh-huh.
You got
You can hear the I'd like to know where you got the notion.
That's a good word.
Okay. We haven't started the podcast. Have
We have not started.
African people, it's podcast time.
Yeah, boy. Yeah, boy.
Let's start again now.
That was
Like, what's wrong with her? What's wrong with her? She has a drug
It
problem.
is what it is.
Oh,
All right. So, who are you? This is how this whole thing started.
I'm Will Smith.
And again, I'm Jada Pinkett-Smith.
Listen, we can many a time.
There's so many things we can. We're just gonna plug them in
We're
wherever
gonna plug Jada
wherever
Pinkett
we
Smith
want.
in, just wherever she fits in so many places.
You'll see why it's apropos today.
It was apropos then. It's apropos now.
Mm-hmm.
But we are also addJOY.
Where life plus joy equals satisfaction.
So we've been shifting gears. Remember, we're not going through our principles right now. We've done about half of them. But we want to just talk about joy in general. So we want to hit you with that definition again, that joy is not happiness per se.
It is not. Mm-mm. It is an inner feeling of contentment. Happiness is an outer expression of elation.
Mm-hmm.
Joy transcends. Happiness reacts.
Yeah. And joy is a deliberate practice, an intentional behavior. Happiness comes and goes. Joy endures, and happiness cannot be maintained. So if you felt like, I'm just struggling with maintaining happiness, don't, because happiness can't be held. It's flatty. A person pursues happiness and a person chooses joy.
Yes. So the reason that we are Will Smith and Jada today is because we are talking about famous conflicts in the community group chat. You ever feel like, you're just privy to all
You're
of this?
in someone's, you'd be like, y'all forgot to take me out the group.
I didn't want to be here. Really,
No.
you all can take this to
I
a
don't know how I
separate
got in the
chat
group
room.
text.
I don't need to be here for this. So we came up, the most obvious one, Will and Jada. What are some other famous conflicts that we have been privy
just
to?
Kanye West in general.
Just
Not another
in
person.
general.
Not Kanye and anybody. Kanye and Kanye. Just
Always
Kanye.
just Kanye.
Just Kanye. Just in conflict. Poor Kanye.
Kanye just
Leaving
out
you,
there.
brother.
Just Kanye is in conflict with Kanye.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
In fact, let's change the spelling of conflict to KANFLICT. Listen,
Oh, Kanye.
Kanye is out here doing it.
You know what's funny about Will and Jada is they're in conflict with the public more than they are with each other.
Now that's a word.
We haven't seen them going at it. People just have all
That's a
these
word.
opinions. She don't support him, and he's just poor him. People have so many
She's
opinions
just
about
breaking
those
him
two.
down, and I
Mhm.
wouldn't let anybody emasculate me like that.
Yeah,
And
whatever you think is whatever they're in there having themselves the time.
now I'm gonna say
of their
this:
life.
Will Smith is the epitome of joy.
Mm-hmm.
You talk about unbothered and unmoved.
Yeah, he is undeterred, untouched. You're not going to manipulate him and even his
At
little-
all.
He do what he do. Got his kids. I mean, he's just he's just living his life. But there's a conflict. It seems like it has bred conflict in the population and the people
Mm-hmm.
that doesn't
We
seem to exist.
Are
with them.
in conflict with one another over their
Over their relationship. And they just
Listen to
they
how
laid
crazy
it
that
up,
sounds.
Netflix and chilling. They somewhere right now. She on his lap right now eating popcorn,
Right now,
counting that book money.
popcorn. Listen, bump.
Ba-dum-bum. else?
Another. Listen, Drake and misogyny. Listen, Drake stays hating women. I don't understand.
He's so funny.
What?
And then, well, but he's kind of like those the tragic mulatto characters in the old
He's
kind of
the tragic romantic
blaxploitation.
is who he
But
is.
it fits the same. Remember the tragic
And
mulatto
also the
female
tragic
is different
mulatto.
than the tragic mulatto male.
Yes.
That
Yes.
he's fitting it kind of perfectly. So
Yeah.
sometimes I think he does these kind of masculine performances because
Yeah.
people question his masculinity, so frequently. So you just watch. As a psychologist, I'd just be watching Drake just go through these things.
Just spiraling.
You okay, baby?
Poor Tink. This is a recent one. Erica Mena and Spice. So as the resident Latina here in the podcast, let me just say this. I totally throw this out. Completely problematic. We have all kinds of issues with colorism in the Latino community. It just is what it is. I wasn't that shocked by her choice of words and calling Spice a monkey.
Ooh.
But, if you knew better, you'd do better.
Mm-hmm.
And I really genuinely don't believe that Erica Mena knows better. And so I'm not saying, she got canceled. She got fired from her job, which I think should have happened. I don't think. But then I also wonder how much of reality television has contributed to these people thinking that they can behave in this way and always get away with it. So then I'm like, well, you kind of created the monster. so it's kind of like what came first.
Yeah.
Which one is the chicken? Which one is the egg? So,
but and I do think, speaking about media and things like that, somehow we feed off of conflicts. Like with Will and Jada, we cannot wait to see something, a hole.
We're so excited by it
in somebody's. We cannot wait.
We don't engage with boring. We don't engage with mundane,
and we find just pleasantness and just kind of run of the mill joy behind that boring.
We like to see them taking off their shoes and throwing it at each other's forehead. We like to see them ripping each other's weaves out. We want to understand.
We want to see beef. We take something
real beef, honey,
and make it into a thing. Derek Jackson and his wife. First of all, are they still married? I thought they got divorced.
They got divorced. But even the ensuing divorce and everything that came after it, her talking about how she was in rotation with other women. As the wife says, okay.
Baby, I knew she was in the sunken place. She was just sitting next to him with that little bonnet on. You gonna call it a beret and not a bonnet? Oh, okay. I sleep in that every night. I don't run around like Mary Tyler Moore and throw it up there. I don't wear it eating French baguettes through Paris.
No.
I sleep in it. It is satin, and it was her bonnet that she wore at night, right?
What I also wonder is why are we not in more conflict with Derek Jackson? Why are we still listening? Why is this man allowed to tell us about male and female relationships? Why is he the one? You got to give me a reason.
Same as Kevin Samuels. Same reason. People want
died with his lover on top of him in his 2-bedroom apartment while he's out here blaming everybody else.
The crazy thing about the Kevin Samuels' largest supporters were not the men he was talking about. They pick and choose, much like the Bible. People just pick and choose little parts because people just they only focused on what he said about women. He also, when he was talking about high value men, he wasn't talking about y'all. The ones who really be like, these women out here, sweetie, he's not talking about your 45,000. He's not talking about you. He said that very clearly. He's not talking about you. Where your neck, you have no neck. It's just your head sits right here. He's not talking about any of those men. He says that. I'm using his words. People just don't remember that. They remember him talking about overweight women and stuff like that. He talked about overweight men. And he talked about men making less, who made less than 100,000. So some people having these conversations, you're not even in the conversation. What?
You see how she'll just try.
They're not in the conversation. They had 28,000 after taxes. So
he was talking about himself, though. Apparently,
right? But I guess, what is notable about them is that they turned conflict into a business.
Well,
and
there's joy in that.
And had they come out saying anything else other than things that were divisive and whatnot, would they have the kind of success? Had they come out with a podcast about joy, so to speak?
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I'm saying?
They wouldn't be selling anything.
Had they come out talking about affirming people and trying to tell people how to live their lives in a great way.
Yeah, that's true. It's not what sells.
It's not going to go viral. Yeah. Unless you are
unless you all make us viral.
Unless you can fight against it, people. The resistance is in your hands. But it is. I just think that's telling
about who we are, who we've evolved into, or devolved into.
Is that there is something just salacious and tasty about, and none of it's real. I mean, I guess to me, I was like, if you're just watching for entertainment to laugh, fine. But you're going out on first dates, bringing up Kevin Samuels.
I cannot tell you the biggest turnoff is getting to know a man.
What?
And that's the first thing. The way that it shrivels up and just dry, it's like
closes.
Dust.
It's like an open.
I know, like a flower just at night when it has no light and it closes up on itself and it just it puckers.
It runs back. I think it might retreat. It's like just a. But that you would drop it with the same, like you've read a really good book. To drop a Kevin Samuels or a Derek Jackson line as though
if you're being wise,
as if that's intellectual fodder.
Absolutely.
Let's bring about, what I'm saying? They're literary giants.
Could you imagine?
Imagine.
Yeah.
It's happening. It's happened. We've been there. Did you ask me to go somewhere with you? And you gonna start talking about Derek? You gonna start talking about Kevin Samuels and Derek Jackson?
Pobrecito. Just
I mean,
No,
is
thank
that what's
you.
happening?
And then finally, this one, this was when you could really tell like who hates black women.
Oh.
Just when we got to that Megan the Stallion trial and Tory Lanez and just the ways that people would not ride for the woman in this.
We will not do it. There
It
is
was
no black
amazing.
woman on record. People just ride for. But I think what was notable there too, and again, I think Jada, says like we all are included in her group chat, and we need to be deleted from out of her group chat for sure.
Please.
I'm definitely saying that. But it's something, the vitriol, right? You know what I'm saying? Like we go after her because of because I guess she's talking in public and whatnot. This man shot his girlfriend. And y'all said not a thing. Like, you know what I mean? Not a word. In fact, well, she might have done something to deserve it because, she like a stripper and stuff. No, she wasn't. She was a college student. Well, I mean, she like a hoe. That's your answer? You get shot because you're... Wait, what now? Say it again now. This is what you're saying?
And this is what we don't pay attention to. I don't care if she hocked a loogie in the back of that man's throat.
You can just walk away.
You pull out a gun for that?
Yeah.
Like how do we
You know
get
what you
here?
could do when somebody does something you don't enjoy? I'm leaving. That part.
What happened to
Can be
that?
done.
It's a lost art.
Yeah, she was just talking crazy. We shot her.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it leads us into the conversation we're having today. We're not good at handling
Managing
conflict well. And so today's
improved.
topic, what we're talking about, is bringing joy to conflict. I know y'all
It
are
can
like,
be done.
how?
It can be
How's
done.
that?
How is joy in conflict?
We're going to show you.
So we are defining conflict, right, as a serious disagreement or argument. And we were talking about this just
Yeah.
before, because if you kind of like look up what conflict means, it means like a deep incompatibility. But what we are arguing is it's you're not comfortable with the incompatibility, because incompatibility is life.
Mm-hmm.
There are people who are going to disagree with you. Y'all don't have to be in conflict. I don't have to be in conflict with somebody who disagrees with me. We're not in conflict because we don't agree. We're in conflict because one or both of us can't stand the fact that we don't agree.
That's it. It's the
And
feelings
we are
attached to it.
insisting
Yeah.
that the other person agree.
You change.
I need you
I
to
need you to
validate
come
my
to my
opinion.
side.
Yep. And if you don't, now we're in conflict. Why are we in conflict when we disagree?
Loud and proud, strong and wrong.
You like this, I like that. Why are we?
Mm-hmm.
So, as a disclaimer, we're actually going to be talking. We're going to have a couple of shows about this, right? We're just kind of talking about conflict, kind of in general. But we're going to talk about relationship conflict. We're going to talk about conflict with your family. We're getting into the holiday season. How do you add joy to conflictual, toxic familial relationships? You got to go home to that Thanksgiving, Christmas dinner. We're going to give you some tools for that, and we're going to talk about how to handle conflict at work. Because as much as you might have distaste for that job, you still got to go until you have another one.
You better.
So we're going to teach you about adding joy to conflict in those spaces too. So our disclaimer, though, is we are not talking about like extreme repeated disrespect, abuse. We are not talking. That is not a conflict.
That is
a safety issue.
Yeah.
And now we're not talking about bringing joy to an abusive situation.
Yeah, no.
Please be very clear about that. And I think if you have some challenges with identifying the difference between the two, that is definitely a time to seek a therapist. That is definitely a time to talk to someone, friends and family. I don't know, if the relationship I'm in, is this just do we just have conflict, or am I, in something that's abusive? You definitely want to know the difference between that.
Out. Yeah.
We are talking about conflict.
Yes.
Just for clarity's sake.
Level, yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So what do we do? How do we even start to dismantle this notion of conflict?
So first and foremost, you've got to identify the root cause of the conflict. Are we really arguing about you leaving the top of the toothpaste off? Or are we arguing about the fact that we feel like you just never chip in on anything? Like there's something. And so it's oftentimes you will find yourselves communicating with people and you're like, I didn't feel like I did that much. I mean, it was just the cap on the toothpaste. Like, how did we get here? It's because there's something else that's kind of lying just beneath that hasn't been addressed, right? And so you really do have to identify what that thing is. We're typically arguing about not the actual
Almost never
issue.
Almost never. Because you're and you're just gonna go back and forth. I let the toothpaste off. I need to let the toothpaste. You always let the toothpaste. You really gonna stand here and talk about this toothpaste? That's why, in couples therapy, I'm like, we're not gonna discuss that toothpaste stop because that's not worth your time and your money. We're not gonna discuss that toothpaste stop. What's really happening here?
Yeah, somebody has to finally put like a stick
by
in the
somebody.
wheel and stop and just.
You are upset that you're always the one who cleans, and that makes you feel like you carry a load in the relationship, and they don't care. Your love language is for somebody to show up, and the fact that you come in and the bathroom is dirty every time. That is what we're talking about here, not the cap to the toothpaste.
Yep.
Kind of almost never, if you think about it. Almost never.
Unless
you have like OCD. I mean, that's like a whole nother thing. I mean, you know what I'm saying? That's
I would say at least 90% of the time. We are not arguing about the cap on the
thing
toothpaste.
that you're saying. Right. Just that like surface level thing that it is. Well, I want you to call me. I don't understand why you need to call me. We don't have trust. Ooh. Text messages, mixed messages. We didn't call it. And I don't, you always say that your phone is we don't have trust.
Yeah, and we have to really, and sometimes, and I will say this, sometimes it requires a third party maybe to have that conversation and to really flesh it out and get to the heart of the matter. Sometimes it requires patience from the person who you're angry with because they've kind of got to push that out of you. A lot of times, though, we have started to argue based off of our resentment. And that resentment has grown over time. And we never said the things along the way that were actually destroying us in the moment. And we just, we kept saying, oh, it's no big deal. It's no big deal. Until now, the cap on the toothpaste is the big deal.
But then you're still mad because you still never if you never got to say the thing that's actually bothering you, you'll talk for 3 hours about the toothpaste cap or whatever the case may be, and you're still resentful. Mm-hmm. You're still resentful. Because you never got a chance to say the real thing.
Right.
Now, this next one, I'm telling you, this will do it. This will do it, y'all. This is how you bring joy to. Because really, remember, we've been talking about the whole time, in all of these 40-something episodes of the joy of the addJOY podcast. You can add joy to anything.
Anything.
Right? Nothing has to destroy your joy, including conflict. Can you address the issue at hand without blame? Can you talk about the thing we're talking about without attacking the character of the person?
That's good. Yeah.
Can you hear correction about a particular issue without hearing an attack on your character?
That's good.
That's how we end up in those long, seething conflicts that we can't seem to get out of.
Remember in the beginning of your relationship when they could do no wrong? When you just you thought everything was them bringing their A game.
No matter what it was.
No matter what it was, right? And then the second we start to feel resentment, we go all the way to the
now everything is a personal attack.
Personal attack on
you
me.
left your shoes out here so I could trip over them. You're trying to kill me.
Or
when it first happened, it was he's so sweet. He takes his shoes off in the beginning in the front door because he don't want to track all that
dirt through my house.
He living his shoes in the exact same place. Before it was because he was good. Now it's because he's evil.
Remove the blame. Just address the issue.
Can you? I got a shoe thing. Can you put it on her?
Here, you know what? And what you're saying is true too. We try to think of all of these eloquent ways to bring our issues.
Oh my God.
And what you'll end up doing is arguing about the cap on the toothpaste because you've spent so long trying to figure out how do I communicate. I'm afraid to be direct. I'm afraid that you're going to judge however I feel about a thing. Let me tell you something. When people are in love, when people are in a place of love, I'm talking about friendships, anything, somebody will give you space to say what it is that you said, and whether they agree with it or not, and they may just be like, I don't understand the big issue with leaving my shoes in the middle of the floor, but babe, if that's your thing, okay, or they're going to get angry too. And now we have bigger issues too. This is why let's just communicate the thing without the blame. Let's say it the first time it happens.
Do you know how light things are when you say it the first time it happens?
Come on, get out of here.
Every time you wait and collect data,
I promise
and
you.
then attack with a wall of, you know what I'm saying, like just kind of this deluge of problems, that is a much worse situation, right? That is a conflictual situation. Do you know how quick it is to be like, you know what, you got to get there on time to pick up our kid. It's just crazy. You know what I'm saying? They charge us when you get there late. What you do is wait for several times. Where the hell are you not picking her up at 6 o'clock? Like, what? What's happening?
How did we get here? Yeah.
We've paid $500 in late fee. What?
Why didn't you talk to me when it was $15?
Hey, were you late picking up? We get charged per minute. Are you still on? Can you try to leave like at 5:15? Because traffic is crazy. I get it. But if you leave at like 5:15 and 5:30,
Baby, do you need me to like remind you? Should I call you and let you know when you should leave to go? Because
see what a better
this is getting
situation
crazy.
that is. Once it builds,
there's no joy in that.
If they say just the wrong thing, here you go on a receipt list. Here you go. And all that does is actually fuel conflict. I've never seen anybody receipt list
Fans
somebody out, and the other person be like, "Aha, Eureka!" The little light bulb, the little cartoon light bulb. Wow.
Yeah,
that was helpful for you to laundry list all the things you've been holding inside.
Which is why you must, next topic, communicate.
Yeah.
So Brene Brown, I'm a Brene Brown stan. She has a book called, I want to say it's Atlas of the Heart. And all it is about finding the language to be able to communicate your feelings. That's it.
That's
it's an entire book where she's just defining feelings. So that I'm telling you, it's a game changer. So that you can just find the word that represents where you stand right now and then communicate that to someone else. Because sometimes we're saying things to people that's not true. Sometimes I'm not mad. I'm hurt.
Have you ever watched it happen too, and you just watched the train wreck happen?
Yeah.
I told you I'm still mad at Janan because she got me onto Love is Blind. And there's the guy on Love is Blind is telling the girl, he's not really a talker, and he did say that. He said, I'm not really great with language. So he tells the young lady, you don't know this makeup when I first met you. She was like, what are you talking about? What he wanted to say is, now that we're spending time, you are so beautiful. That's what you should have led with. Like after she leaves and breaks up with him, you know what I'm saying? And they don't get married. He's like saying, he just could not find the right words. You know what I mean? Like he was just like, the makeup. What he was trying to say was, if you're really dolled up and things like that suggests a different kind of person. He was like, look at you. You're just so beautiful.
When you wake up in the morning.
You know, she did have on a lot too. I mean, it was kind of like, like crazy. I mean, it was just like a lot happening, right? You know what I'm saying? He was like, whoa, you know, like that's not usually my type of lady, but I'm just trying to work with it. But then when he saw her without, he was like, why? Why did you do that? But he just said the wrong things.
Right.
You know?
Right.
He just said the wrong things. And so, you know,
and
I think it's okay.
With people.
I think it's okay to say, I don't want to say the wrong thing right now.
I don't know what to say.
I don't know what to say. I have absolutely said that. I've said that in the workplace before. I've said that in
Let me go
meeting
find
before.
the words and come back to you.
I'm not sure what to say here.
Yeah.
Be careful because it's very hard to let
come
something
back.
and
you
then
can't
try
take
to
them
pull
back
it
once
it's
they out your
very
mouth.
Hard to pull
once
them back.
they out your mouth,
then
it's out in the ether.
Now
it's
you're
gone.
spending the conflict. Now is over the words.
Yep.
And you're spending so
now
much
we have
time.
an added layer of the conflict.
Because you're spending so much time trying to explain. But I didn't mean that. I didn't mean that. Just pause. Pause for a second. Just listen for a second. Listen to the other person. Pause. Even if you have to think through it aloud. I want to communicate to you that I love you and want the relationship to continue, but I just want certain changes. I'm trying to figure out how to get that, and I want to say it in a way. Like, even if you just reason to yourself aloud.
Yeah.
That's better than, I'm not going to be putting up with this shit.
Here's another tip when it comes to words. Never and always are going to get you in trouble.
Always.
You don't never take out the garbage. Yeah. I'm always telling you
the
that
only
you got
always. That's the always. Always will always get you in trouble, and never ain't never gonna lead to no good fruit. That we can use those terms to describe the consequences of those terms. And the thing is, if that's true, what are you doing?
Why are you here?
Why are you there?
Why are you here? If they never take out the trash.
They never care. I promise you, that's a big part of couples therapy. Let me just repeat that. He never speaks to you respectfully. He never, sis, what are we doing?
Then he's not the problem now.
You are. You're in a relationship with somebody who wakes up, bitch, get up. What's happening? He never talks to you respectfully. Never. On psychological measures, we have like more lingering scales, fake bad scales, and fake like good scales and things like that. Like that, we catch people who are, and you know what we use for the scale. I probably shouldn't give too much away. Is people who put always and never too often. That's how we catch it. He's a parent talking about their son. He's always disrespectful, ma'am. You telling me 24 hours a day, this boy.
He wakes up.
He wakes up.
There's
He calls you a bald head hoe. You'd be like, son, happy birthday. And he says, shut up talking to me. Because if that's the case, he should have been in a hospital. You bringing him, he's 15. Yeah. And he's been like this since he could talk, and you're just not bringing him to the therapist. That means it's not always.
When you are using these things, when you're talking to the person, when you're talking to other people about the person, what you are doing is trying to paint an extreme picture of how wounded you feel.
Instead of just saying, I feel
Instead
wounded.
of just saying, ooh, I feel so hurt.
I'm so hurt.
It has happened now. How about this? It could have happened 3 times.
It happened one time.
Could have happened once.
I'm just talking about hurt.
It has broken me down so much that it's hard for me to look at you. That is different from, I just feel like you always doing something to show me that you don't care.
Do you see how that heightens and maintains the conflict and rather than dissipates it? Because what you then do is put the person on the defense. Of course, their first thing is, I don't always do it.
And that's where they get stuck. Now they can't even address what
all
they
I'm doing is laundry listing the places where I wasn't disrespectful so that I can counter the argument. Yeah. We didn't have to have that. You could have just said, when you spoke to me like that last night, I was really hurt. It felt like you were saying this. I walked away from that interaction feeling like this.
As opposed to, you always talking to me crazy.
Oh. And it just makes, now I'm on defense. And so now we're just battling. Now we're just tossing the football back and forth, seeing who's going to score. Nobody wins. And
I have to go back to this. Communicate before you get resentful. Yeah. Yep. Once you have the resentment, it's so hard for it's hard for you to communicate.
You can't hear
2, it's hard for
anymore.
you to hear. Once you've gotten to that place, no one's going to win here. We're not even looking to, now you've gone into defense mode. Now you're just trying to protect yourself. You're not trying to heal.
With that always and never, you're not just saying it out loud to them. You're saying it to yourself. You're actually robbing the joy from your own relationship. And then, then they're gone and you weeping, right? You know what I'm saying? Because you convinced yourself that they were always such and such when they just did it occasionally or they just did it once or twice. And we're not invalidating that was meaningful, right?
Well, here's the thing we do too. We think that the frequency then justifies our pain.
Yeah.
It could have happened one time.
It could be one time.
You're okay in saying this one time devastated me. Please don't ever do that again. I don't have to collect that.
If someone is, let's use the disrespectful. I am going to say something immediately. I find it disrespectful to be terse. I'm not even talking about getting cursed. I'm not even getting to that point. If your volume, I'd be like, your volume.
Because I don't do that to you.
Your volume.
Please don't do that to me.
Right there.
That's all.
And then it's not out of control. What I almost think we kind of gaslighting by letting, you know what I'm saying? Like, I want you to just go in. I'm collecting this data so I can just really come at you later on. Instead of being like, ooh. Clearly we're both upset. Clearly we're upset because you are yelling. I don't want to be yelled at. I hope that you don't want to yell in this moment. That's not the kind way that I think we should handle this. But you'd have to then do it then. You know what I'm saying? You'd have to communicate before getting resentful. By that time, they didn't practice yelling at you. That's their go-to.
Now, this is a big one. Communicate without the intent of the reaction. I was having a conversation with someone yesterday who can be on the dramatic side sometimes. I love her dearly, but she just, she likes to go there. And she started the conversation by saying, well, I'm just going to move away.
We just going to start with extreme.
What she was really saying was, I'm so hurt. I feel like things are not working out well in this relationship. And I feel like maybe you don't want me around. I would like to hear that you do.
Mm-hmm. I am feeling like you don't care about me, whatever it is. Because it's clearly trying to manipulate me into right.
Right. We start with, I'm just going to move away. So that then what it is that you anticipated getting was, no, please don't move away. No. I love you so much. Right. I want you here.
Then if you don't get that, now we're really in conflict. I knew you never loved me. Don't do any of that. Now, it's hard not to. Because again, I think about asking people, what's the point of this conversation before you go into a difficult conversation? Well, I wonder if she's going to. We're already in a bad place. Ooh. Because your goal should just be to communicate. Your goal is to be able to say what you need to say, to express yourself in a way that it is digested by the other person. If your goal of communication is just their reaction, I'm trying to manipulate something out of them. We're already off.
And I would say pay attention to this outside of even just the conversations with the person you're in conflict with. When you're communicating with other people about this conflict, don't communicate things with the intent of the reaction or like the way that they will then...
You're getting good right here.
The way that they will then offer you comfort because of how you have painted a picture of the person you're in conflict with.
Be careful about the dramatic stories, because then you resolve the conflict there. Now you have a little bit of conflict over here with the friend you talk to, because they're wondering
like,
why
how'd
you
go
would
back?
Stay with someone who you
when
said
they always
disrespects you.
You see,
who never remembers anything that you love. Who they're hearing that thinking, oh my gosh, get free immediately. And here you are inviting them now to your anniversary, and of course they're like,
right. I remember having a friend who was going through a divorce, and they needed to get a divorce. They needed to separate. It is what it is. It's fine. She had told me one story in particular 4 different times. I had heard it over and over, and I realized this is her story that she shares with people to get people to kind of take her side.
Yeah. To validate,
to validate the pain that she went through and why she went through with this, right? And because I'm at a particular place where I can recognize that, then I was like, okay, this is her space, and I have to carry her through this. But for people who don't have that kind of emotional maturity, you keep sharing these stories and they are just silently creating now their reasons why they're in conflict with the person. Now they're
in conflict. And again, they can be in conflict with you because you stand in the relationship.
And here's the thing too. When you need the friend to keep you in this relationship, when you need the friend to remind you of the love you all had, now they can't. You fed them with all of these reasons why you should leave. When you really needed a community of people to hold you accountable to these vows that you made or this love that you have, whatever it is, we have to pay attention to our communication. It's got to be, we've got to communicate in healthy ways that keep us at our highest selves, even through the conflict.
I think you really hit the nail on the head when you first started talking about it. What's the intent? What is my intent of communicating this? Is it to, get a peanut gallery going and people agree with me? Is it to have pity? Is it to increase my sight? And I think if that, if we can switch to that being our goal, I'm coming to you about a conflict that I'm having with my partner and whoever it is, because I want you to tell me what you see. I want you to increase my wisdom here, increase my sight.
So good.
So that when I go back to, I'm better. Don't be worse. Going to your
Could you imagine if you said that to your homegirls? I'm coming to you because I want you to increase my
Hear
sight.
this. I want to just help me think through it because I want to just see if I'm thinking about this the right way. But that means you have to just present it balanced. But you have to present it balanced in here too. You're taking your joy when you don't do it. You're stealing your joy when you don't do it.
Steal your own joy. You see that?
Just putting a little mute button on your joy. Unmute.
Dimming the light
Just
on
dim it.
your
I
joy.
know. Telling your joy, shh.
Oh, don't tell your joy. Shh.
Don't silence your joy.
No.
Listen to hear, not to respond. This was a challenging one. But I have to be honest with you. I have grown so much in places where I have learned to close my mouth. And it's hard when you kind of, when you're brash and sassy, and you were taught to be one. I was taught to be a woman with a voice, and you know what I'm saying? Like, don't nobody silence you. When I tell you, just what I have gained. This is not for the other person. This is not to just submit to another person. That's not what I mean by that. It's so that you can, like, I can't hear you if I'm talking.
I have a coach. I love when Tawanda does this. When Tawanda says, what I'm hearing you say, and I'd be like, go right there. Go right there. I want to hear your interpretation of it so we can flesh this out and we can really
I could be wrong.
This thing out. Yes. And I could be communicating in a way. I need to hear what you say that you're hearing.
What do you hear
me?
And I pause and do that. I do that part. Like when I'm talking in situations that have a bit of attention, I stop and say, now what have you heard? How are you interpreting what I've said? Yeah. Because I don't want to just keep going on my diatribe, you know what I'm saying? And you're walking away with an completely unintended. But this is communication skills to add joy to the conflict. You really can't. Again, your joy does not have to be stolen just because you are in a tough space with somebody.
Also, focus on one problem at a time. And this...
So don't be bringing up a whole bunch of old stuff. You tell me don't bring up everything.
You always gotta bring up all stuff.
Yeah, I'm gonna bring up all the old stuff, even the stuff that we already resolved. I'm gonna bring that back out so I can have enough artillery.
This is why we have to communicate before we're resentful, because once we have resentment, we are trying to find every way to shoot you down. I'm trying to come to this war with every possible weapon I can. Stop that. Focus on just one problem at the time. If we're talking about, babe, it's really, I'm in this struggle here because I'm feeling like I'm cleaning up all the time and I keep seeing the cap off the toothpaste. It's communicating to me that you don't care and value the work that I put into this home. We're not going to talk about the fact that
we just going to keep going over those things.
They didn't pay the bill last week. They didn't call when they were out with their girlfriends last. Listen. Please stop that.
One thing at a time.
One.
What makes you think that you could ever be that skilled to debate and come to a conclusion of several problems at once anyway? There's nobody that's skilled. No one. It's just the sheer weight of multiple problems. You just in there confused. Like, what you talking about now?
That's real. Yeah. And then finally, we have to go back to that very first, we talked about this a few weeks ago when we talked about dating and when we talked about, just in your communication with others, in your relations with others, abandon expectations,
yes, Lord.
Y'all.
And sometimes just like abandon. Like I'm going to be honest with you. What has really freed me and brought me joy is sometimes in conflictual situations, I look for something to let go of. What can I don't mean to resolve something. I'm talking about let that go. Just let it go entirely. Like, is there a way I can just let go of the toothpaste cap and I'll just put it on when I come in?
Let it go. Let it go.
Like, and I really mean that because I think sometimes we think we just have to like say something about everything. We don't always have to have conflict about like everything. Some stuff is just like, is it a deal breaker? You know what I mean?
That's good.
Is it like a seriously painful thing? Is it a small annoyance? Like, where does it fall on your hierarchy of things?
Yeah.
Sometimes stuff down here, we just got to let that go. I hate how he does the dishes and he puts them in this rack instead of that one.
Do you like him being at home with you every night?
Just let that go.
Then we're going to set this free.
Yeah,
we have to figure out what we value. You know, like, do I value this person being in my life? Then we got to figure out how to work through this. Even if he puts the dishes sideways instead of front. Like, it just really, honestly. But these are the things that people will just kind of like get annoyed by. Then they make their little comments and they just, you know what I'm saying? And this just escalates because the dishes are put in this way instead of that way. You mad because I asked you to do the dishes. Mm-hmm. You should do the dishes.
You ate all of
them. But I'm not going to throw you away. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to. You're too precious to me. I'm not. you know what I'm saying?
But there's the expectations go both ways, right? One, sometimes we have really kind of these exponential expectations that a person will be like, oh, again, Eureka, you've come to me with the list of your concerns, and immediately I'm going to stop everything and address every one of them because, you know what I mean? We have that. And which is problematic, or we expect that people are going to be like, anyway, I don't care what you're talking about. Like, either of those expectations means you're bringing the conflict. You're bringing the conflict by bringing those expectations. That person just sitting there minding their own business, eating cereal, wondering why you staring at them. So I got to talk to you later.
And if we set the expectations free, then whatever happens, we haven't already attached a feeling to it. Whatever happens,
it just organically develops, and we deal with it in the moment. Yes. You haven't pre-prepared your war,
baby. I have prepared whole speeches.
Oh, what?
In preparation,
I have been in the shower out loud, out loud, practicing, and I'm not even doing it on purpose. I can hear myself doing it. I am out loud practicing, like, you know, how I'm going to deliver this information.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to say this. He's going to say that.
You don't know what
she's going to respond with this.
You don't know how she's going to respond.
And then you get thrown off when they don't hit you with any of the things that you already.
Yep. Here you were, loud and wrong.
We're going to set that down. We're going to add joy to our conflict because we're going to have conflict.
Yeah, it happens.
And it's okay. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with the conflict. Yep. It's okay for us to disagree. It's okay for us to not be on one accord. It's not okay for us to punish each other through it. That doesn't add joy.
It just doesn't add joy.
No.
Ain't no joy in it.
Ain't no joy in that.
Ain't no joy in it.
So that's our episode today.
Add joy. Ba ba da. Add joy.
Why do I always I'm so sorry, y'all. I'm sorry.
You've been saying that addJOY.
That was so good.